All right, guys, for my big game breakdown, let's take a look at Timberwolves Bucks, 8:10 Eastern tip in Milwaukee. As of this recording, the Bucks 1-point favorites pretty much everywhere, with the exception of Circa, a noted sharper book, of course, who has the game aligned as a pick'em. Now, most teams in the NBA would probably love to trade places with Milwaukee, right? We're talking about a team that finished first in the Eastern Conference last season, currently third this season with a 33-18 straight up record. But flaming out in the first round of the last year's playoffs, coupled with what was perceived as a disappointing start to 2023-2024, that led to a coaching change. And our old pal, Glenn Rivers, is now in charge of the ship. And surprise, surprise, the Bucks are underperforming under Doc. They just finished up a 1-4 road trip that coincided with the coaching change. I made the mistake of betting the Bucks Tuesday in Phoenix. That was a somewhat snake-bitten selection. Both Damian Lillard, Brook Lopez officially ruled out about 2 hours before tip. And adding more injury to insult, Chris Middleton, he goes down with an ankle injury after just 8 minutes of action. Bucks played tough. They fought valiantly. They were even up at halftime, but obviously they faded down the stretch. They failed to cover the spread. Doc Rivers, ever the inspiration, said, quote, "You just felt at some point we wouldn't have enough offense on the floor, and that's probably what happened." So that is your Doc Rivers-led Milwaukee Bucks. And while you figure they got to be pretty desperate for a win heading into tonight, I don't like the spot. First home game back after a long road trip. I mentioned it was a 5-game road trip. They go 1-4. Last night, I faded 2 teams in a very similar scenario. Ended up cashing a couple of outright winners with the Pelicans +7 at the Clippers and the Pistons +13. They won outright at Sacramento. Both the Clippers and Sacramento, that was their respective first home games back after long road trips. Here, we don't have the luxury of taking that many points, but it's okay because I think Minnesota's a better team, guys. T-Wolves, they'll be motivated. They blew a 22-point halftime lead in Chicago the other night, lost in overtime. But the good news, 7-2 straight up, and ATS are the T-Wolves when coming off an outright loss as a favorite this season. And there's plenty to like about this team, particularly their defensive rating. They're number 1 in the league per Hollinger in that department. The Bucks, they're only 17th in defensive rating per Hollinger. And oh, by the way, they've been a disaster, have the Bucks at the betting window since the new year. 4-15 against the number last 19 games. In the last 5 games on that aforementioned road trip, they let opponents shoot 50% from the field. Lillard and Lopez, they could return. Keep an eye on their respective statuses. Middleton's definitely out. Bottom line is this, guys. A less than full-strength Milwaukee team coached by Doc Rivers is not as good as Minnesota. Look at the Timberwolves here.